Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Synsei Inc. And today I have a very cool topic to talk about coming straight out of One Piece chapter 1022. We are going to be discussing the tag team altercation between Sanji and Zoro and Queen and King. But to talk about this very special topic, I brought a special guest with me today. So we have Zage in the building with us. What's going on, Zage? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, man, I'm excited. I guess my first small question for you before we, get into things is, how did you, in very small details, how did you like the chapter overall?
I think it was a pretty good chapter. We got to see it was basically a rundown of what happened with different places that we haven't seen in a while. And the final part with Sanji and Zoro was the highlight, of course, which was great. So I enjoyed it, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, of course, make sure that you check in the pinned comment and in the description. In the description will be a link to Zage's channel. He's very close to monetization, very close to 1,000 subs. So make sure that you show a lot of love to him and go check his content out, and also give him that subscribe if you like his content. In my pinned comment will be a link to my Twitch, where I've been streaming every day. So make sure that you click that link, follow me on Twitch. Of course, give the video a like and comment and give me your thoughts, and subscribe and turn on post notifications if you like content like this. So Zage, I guess my first question, outside of just the overall thoughts on the chapter, specifically is, what would you like to see in this altercation between Sanji, Zoro, and King and Queen?
I guess for Sanji, I kind of want to see everything that the raid suit has to offer in terms of the things that maybe he hasn't brought out yet. Because we kind of saw the basic functions with page 1, but one thing we haven't seen is the conjunction with the raid suit and the Abe Jambe. And I do think that's going to be a big thing, which is going to give him the leg up over Queen. I do think that when that happens, I'm not going to say he's going to steamroll Queen, but he's going to have an overwhelming advantage, 100%. With King and Zoro, I'm just hoping for some good choreography on a sword fight. We haven't had that in a while. I think the last time was Ryuma, which was a long time ago.
Yeah, Thriller Bark.
Exactly, yes. And yeah, just with Zoro, his progression and his Conqueror's Haki, I think is probably the main thing. So those are kind of the two main things I'm looking out for, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, I'm very excited for Zoro. Talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but as of the post time skip, besides the Kamazo fight, who we find out is killer later, Zoro has had a pretty easy time. And I don't think it's because his enemies have been weak per se, especially Pika. I just think Zoro is just at a very high level, which we've seen in Wano. I think a lot of times there is this conception of Zoro that he isn't growing at a fast rate because he hasn't had those tough altercations that Luffy has had. But I think what people don't take into consideration is that Zoro is someone that is constantly working on his craft, working on his physicality. He's consistently training, even when it's not on screen. I think that's something that people don't really take into consideration. His entire goal is a strength feat, beating Mihawk, becoming the world's strongest swordsman. So for him to be as powerful as he is, I think makes a lot of sense narratively. And I was excited to find out that he was fighting King, because like you said, we haven't really got to see him have this kind of altercation or 1v1 with a swordsman. And since Thriller Bark, like you mentioned, I'm excited to see also if Zoro was going to implement cutting the fire again. We've seen it kind of with the Boro breath. He showed interest in that in Punk Hazard when he seen Kinemon do it. So I wonder if that's going to come into play with King. Are you excited to see if Zoro might cut King's fire?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we've seen him cut the Boro breath, Prometheus. So with King, I mean, it's a given that he's going to be able to cut King's fire. I do want to see what kind of obstacles that King is going to bring forth, because off the top of my mind, I can't really think of anything that, Zoro actually has to get by to actually beat King. Maybe the aerial battle in terms of hitting a movement target might be a problem, But with flying slashes, that's the sole purpose of the flying slash.
Yeah.
You know, to cut things that are far away or things that are moving, so on and so forth. It's going to be interesting just to see what King can actually do, because we haven't really seen him go all out.
For sure. So I have a question for you. I was wondering, do you think that, and this is something I've seen some people asking, that this altercation is going to be very linear? And when I say that, do you think that it's only going to be Sanji versus Queen, Zoro versus King? Or do you think that it might be a situation in which they use their chemistry to their advantage? We could see perhaps, you mentioned the aerial battle, like something like Sanji helping Zoro out in a small way with the skywalking, or if maybe Zoro notices something that Queen is doing that he could help Sanji with, and vice versa? Or do you think it'll just be like two individual battles and less of a group fight?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be the latter. We've seen this kind of similar before with the Kaku and Jabra fight, because that fight started in the same room when Sanji saved Usopp and Nami from Jabra. You know, they were in the same room as Kaku and Zoro, but they moved away, and they fought in another place, right? So it was all 2 1v1s. I do like the idea of a 2v2, like what you were saying at the beginning. I think it would be cool, but I don't think it would be good mainly for Zoro. I think it'll be okay for Sanji, because we've kind of seen him in those type of situations before. Example being when he fought alongside Jinbei against Watatsumi at Fishman Island. But for Zoro, when he's fighting a swordsman, I do think that even if the aerial thing is a problem, we don't know if it will be, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it is, right? Because he's trying to be the world's strongest swordsman, he has to cut out those problems, and for him to be helped isn't a good thing. I mean, we've seen in Baratie, this guy was going to fight and willing to die against Mihawk.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
He was ready to die, right? And Luffy was holding back Johnny and Yasaku from helping, you know, even though he was in a very bad state and he was clearly going to lose. So, yeah, for Zoro, when he's fighting a swordsman, any other person is fine. But just because he's a swordsman, it wouldn't be good to his, you know, the strides that he's making to
the way of the sword.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just wanted to ask the question because I did see some people asking me that in comments, and just talking to some people in the server. They were asking what I thought, if it'd be more of a group or a linear thing. I think I agree with you. I think it'll be very much like an Ennis Lobby. It'll start off with Zoro, it'll start off with Oda giving us that hype, seeing Zoro and Sanji working together, but I think, like you said, it'll be quickly like dissipated into 1v1 altercations, and I think that's the best way to go for the culmination or the peak of the fight, because we want to see certain things as well as an audience, and we did get to see the Straw Hats get 1v1s for the most part. We got to see Robin, Black Maria, we got to see Jinbei, Who's Who, Frankie, Sasaki. So I would love to see the Queen and Sanji and Zoro King thing be their own thing. I think it will help us gauge just how strong the Straw Hats are now, and it goes hand in hand with what Zoro and Sanji were saying. If they win this fight, they'll be that much closer to, you know, Luffy being the Pirate King, and I think that's what Oda is trying to show us here. Like, these Straw Hats aren't the same people that lost to Sabaody. You know, these are completely a different crew. I think, in my opinion, and I want your opinion on this too, if you disagree, I don't think outside of Yonko crews that there's any crew I can think of off top of my head that can compete with the Straw Hats right now.
No, not at all. Yeah, they're basically proving themselves to be a Yonko crew right now. After Wano, these guys are a bona fide Yonko crew. So yeah, 100% I agree. And they're just going to be showing off their strength. I mean, look at Jinbei vs. Who's Who. Wasn't entirely difficult for him. Robin used a new ability, dealt with a flying six pretty easily when she used it. Frankie was able to overcome his opponents. So this is Zoro and Sanji's time now, time to shine.
Yeah.
They're going to show why they're better than these calamities. You feel me?
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to see this. So we talked a little bit about like what we wanted to see, right? I think I want to go a little bit more into detail on how do you think the fights will go. So we can start with Sanji and Queen, because I know everyone's more excited to talk about the Zoro King fight. But with Sanji and Queen, how do you see things going for Sanji? When do you think he implements the raid suit? Is it right away? Is it when he realizes he needs it? Like, how do you think that's going to go? Because currently he isn't within the suit.
Yeah, I do think when the chapter is actually focused on Sanji versus Queen, I do think he'll put on the raid suit. Initially, I actually want to say that usually in the Sanji fights, and Oda usually makes the same type of formula with the Monster Trio fights. Like, just for example, Luffy usually goes into the fight weaker than his opponent and he grows to surpass them. Zoro is usually stronger than his opponent, or he's nerfed to make it difficult, and Sanji is usually always stronger than his opponent, but there's either a nerf or he just destroys them, right? In this case, I do think that Sanji probably is stronger than Queen. I definitely think he is, considering the fact that even in base, he's able to fight Queen's hybrid. I know it hasn't been much, and not much focus, most of it is off-screen type things, but he was only ever put down when King got involved off-screen. So in my mind, I do think that once Sanji puts on the raid suit, it will probably be somewhat balanced between him and Queen, and then when he puts Diable Jambe, I'm not going to say an overwhelming victory for Sanji, but it will be very, very clear that Sanji is stronger than Queen, like by a decent gap as well. If that's not actually the new thing that he's going to bring out, or the limit of what he's going to do in this fight, just combining Diable Jambe with the raid suit, whatever that new thing is, that will basically make that gap between Sanji and Queen that much more evident.
No, for sure. So I have a question. This is something I was concerned with, but I want to know your opinion on it. So we know that the raid suit is like fire resistant. Does that ever like come into your mind at all when thinking about the Diable Jambe, or do you think that it's really not going to be that relevant?
Yeah, I really don't think it's going to be that relevant. I think, yeah, in theory, it doesn't really make sense, I guess. But
yeah,
maybe with the Diable Jambe, it being from Sanji himself, but it's not an external thing, then it could work. It just depends how Oda's going to explain it. Because we do know, for example, the other Vinsmokes, they can use their abilities. Like, I think, is it Niji, right? He's the blue guy, right? He has the electricity, and he's able to use the electrical powers without the suit, but when he puts on the suit, is even bigger, stronger electricity, so on and so forth. So maybe the Diable Jambe will work in that sort of effect.
Which I think,
we're just gonna see.
I think that, yeah, I don't know exactly what the suits are made of. I don't know if they tell us a material, but I do think that there may be some rubber within the suits, just the way they look. So if he's using electricity, I could see why it might not matter. And maybe if like the electricity is an internal power, just like the Diable Jambe is with Sanji, I agree with you. Maybe it'll bypass the whole thing with the suits. I can't see Sanji like not using Diable Jambe. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's just kind of like, I don't know. To me, at least, that's kind of his signature. So it would be kind of like weird to see him defeat Queen without it. But I'm not going to say it's out of the realm of possibility either. Like, it's not impossible for that to be the case. But I'm leaning more towards it being the Diable Jambe with the raid suit. For everyone out there that's excited about seeing a black Diable Jambe, it's not going to happen. Like, I know everyone was like, yo, what if the flames turn black? Like Amaterasu or something. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. But we're not getting it, guys, unfortunately. Like, I just don't think it's gonna happen. Like, but so we talked a little bit about the Sanji and Queen fight. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I think seeing him fight Queen without the suit on, and he's doing decent. Like, he's not overwhelmingly defeating Queen or anything, but he's able to fight without it, which means to me, with the raid suit, he should do significantly better. So I'm in the same boat as you with that. I'm thinking that it's going to be not incredibly easy for Sanji, but not super duper difficult either. I think it'll be probably like a high diff, like mid to high diff type of situation for Sanji with the raid suit. I think
I'm looking towards like a mid diff myself.
Yeah.
especially considering the time, because it doesn't look like we've got much left in
Time
this
left.
raid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they gotta beat them pretty quickly.
Yeah. So how powerful, in your opinion, is Sanji if he mid diffs Queen with the raid suit? Sanji with the raid suit, of course.
Sanji with the raid suit would be, in my opinion, stronger than like Act 1 Luffy.
Okay. Do you
Or
think
that level at the very least.
Okay. So do you think Sanji with the raid suit after Wano could like fight a Katakuri?
Oh, 100%. And
Okay.
win too.
And win? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Love to see it. All right. So now we can move on to what everyone wants. I know everyone wants to talk about and everyone's super hyped for. I'm super excited to see this on panel, and that's King versus Zoro. So we have to ask the question, you being someone that is representative of the ZKK movement, I have to ask, do you still believe in ZKK at this point? Do you still think it's in the realm of possibility?
Yes, I still think it's in the realm of possibility. I actually was going to make a video about it, but just because you brought it up, I will say, and I was going to say in that video as well, that if Enema becomes a Black Blade in this king fight, I'm off the train. I'll just say that on record. I'm gonna say that on record.
Okay.
Yeah,
if Enma becomes a Black Blade in the king fight, you've heard it here first. Sage is hopping off the ZKK train. Okay. Can you explain? Do you want to explain? I know you're saving it for your video, but do you want to kind of give your mindset on why you would be giving it up?
100%. It's mainly because the storyline and everything connected to Enma is so associated with Kaido that if the progression of the blade, or Zoro's progression with Enma, gets to a new level in, not in a Kaido fight, I just don't see that big moment happening. Because I think, well, at least in my opinion, I think if it is to become black, it has to be in a Kaido fight, whatever he does. Kill, not kill, he has to do some sort of attack to Kaido with it for it to become a Black Blade. We don't know how Black Blades are made, so this is just my headcanon. But yeah, I just think the likelihood of that happening if Enma becomes black in the king fight is very, very low. And if it happens, despite that, I would be really, really surprised. I'm really surprised.
All right. Well, I agree with you. I think it's very much tied to that as well. So we'll just have to see how things go, But as far as the king fight goes, how do you see this going for Zoro? I know you talked about earlier, you didn't think there's much that he would have to overcome, but how do you see this fight going, like in sequence?
Honestly, I couldn't really say. It's really hard just because of what you just said about how there's nothing apparent that we can see that will be difficult for Zoro in this king fight, apart from maybe the aerial stuff. We're gonna see how that's done. Even though we saw when Zoro fought Kaku, that Geppo, when Kaku was using it, it wasn't that much of a problem, and he was countering it with flying slashes. So we're gonna see. But I do think this fight, maybe in its totality, will probably be like a mid to high diff. That's just how I'm thinking it will be. I think mainly for Zoro, this will be the progression of his Conqueror's Haki. He's going to be solely focusing on how he can use that at will, because otherwise he wouldn't be any stronger than he is before if he can, only use it in Ashura. It's actually why I don't think Ashura will be in play in the king fight. I don't expect that to happen, because Ashura is basically forcefully using his Conqueror's Haki. That's basically cheating. He can't do it in his other styles. So in the king fight, I think he's going to limit himself to just his 3 swords and beat King with that. Just solely learning how to put his conquerors and his swords and do it at will at any point in time.
Yeah, I was doing an analysis for the chapter to put out tomorrow, and I talked a bit briefly about my thoughts on this. I agree with you. I said that in the video as well. I think that we know 100% that he has Conqueror's coding, but from the perspective that he was given to us, he doesn't know that he was using it. So I think that he, in this fight's him learning, look, I have this ability. It's a powerful ability. I scarred a Yonko with it. I should probably try to utilize this for fights in the future. It'll probably help me against Mihawk. And I think that him learning in this King fight how to utilize his Conqueror's coding, I agree with you 100%. I think that makes so much sense. It's in a fight with a swordsman. It's against the calamity of the person that he's already scarred previously. So him using it here in Wano, when clearly Conqueror's coding and Rio is so important, I think it makes sense for this to be the arc for him to kind of fully understand what it is, what it does, how to utilize it whenever he wants to. So I agree with that. So okay, after the King and Zoro fight, right, we talked a little bit about ZKK. So if he was to go back to the roof to help in the Kaido fight, to do his thing, I'm assuming that you believe he's going to defeat King pretty quickly.
I'm actually not sure how exactly the events are going to unfold. I think that King and Queen probably defeated in and around the same time. So it depends. But I don't think, even if he does go back to the roof, and even if he's going to fight Kaido again and have another round, I don't think it will be for very long. I think the most he will do is a few attacks, and at best it will be, you know, just the one attack basically at the end, just to kill him.
Yeah. See,
that's pretty much it.
I wanna talk about that very quickly, because I feel like, and I was talking to Vor about this earlier, I feel like people think that people who believe in ZKK, that the majority of you guys think that Zoro is going to 1v1 Kaido and defeat him and then kill him. And the thing is, a lot of you guys understand logically that him having a 1v1 with Kaido and defeating him by himself and then killing him is much more unlikely than him doing what you guys are literally saying, and that is him just killing him. So I feel like people think that you guys are saying he's going to take everything away from Luffy, he's going to be the one doing all the damage, not Luffy, and then kill him. And that's not what you guys are saying. You guys are just saying, look, Luffy doesn't kill. I feel like Kaido needs to die. It makes sense for Zoro to be the one to do it.
Right, exactly.
And I feel like
most of the fighting is going to be done on Luffy's part anyway. He's going to have the full-fledged 1v1 against Kaido. He's going to show why he's, you know, going to be on that level by the end of the arc.
Because
so that's not for Zoro. That's not his role.
Exactly. And the thing that I don't understand about it is, it's like, a lot of people, some people don't think Kaido's dying, but for the people that do think Kaido needs to die, wouldn't you rather it if it's not Luffy? Because we know Luffy doesn't kill, he just doesn't do it. And Oda's went on record explaining why he doesn't have Luffy kill people. If someone needs to do it, wouldn't you rather it be someone on the Straw Hat crew rather than some other person that isn't involved with Luffy? You know what I mean? So I guess I don't understand people's mindset when it comes to Kaido dying. Like, who do you want to do it? Would you rather Kid do it, someone that's not on the crew, or would you rather someone that is on the Straw Hat Pirates do it? And I feel like, for me, that's why I really feel like, and I think about this often, if Kaido is to die, I just don't see it being anyone other than Zoro, just for the simple fact that I want it to be in-house. You know what I mean? I want it to be within the Straw Hats, so Luffy is still the person getting the overall credit. You know what I mean? Even though Zoro, of course, is going to get credit for being in that fight, I still think Zoro was a reflection of his captain. And I feel like a lot of people don't take that into consideration. So I agree with you there. If Kaido is to die, I would love it to be Moosehead. You know what I mean? I think it's got to be. I can't think of anyone else that I'd rather it be. And I think at this point the Blackbeard stuff's out of the question. Like, so. Oh yeah.
Actually, I never understood that, because this is the Straw Hats' first Yonko that they're trying to defeat. Why would that be done by an external party?
By another guy that has nothing to do with it. Like, he doesn't even have it. There's no one in his crew here. Like, there's no inkling or hinting at Blackbeard even coming here or being here. So it's like I never really got that either, but I don't know, man. Other than that though, I think we're kind of in the same boat here, Zage, with how we think the fights are going to go. I'm super excited for everyone watching to get to see this actually on panel and get to see what the conclusion is. Again, guys, make sure that you go check out Zage's channel. Go show him a lot of love. He's got some awesome videos over there. Very close to that 1,000 sub milestone. He's trying to hit that, so his link will be in the top of my description. Make sure you click that and go show him some love. Zage, thank you so much for being on the channel once again, bro. I appreciate that. All right, guys, and as always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Synsei Inc. and Zage, and I will see you all in the next video.